Welcome everybody to a special town meeting of the town of North Stonington's electorate. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight for this meeting. We do have calls for those who wanted one at the front when you checked in. If you didn't get one, you're welcome to have one. As is normally the process in our town meetings, the first order of business is to select a moderator. Do we have any nominations for moderator? Yes. Nomination for Lisa Mazzella. Is there a second? Okay, so it's a nomination from Bill Ricker, second from Dan Spring. Do we have any other nominations for moderator? Going once, going twice. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to close nominations for moderator? So moved from Joe Gross. Bill Ricker seconds. Further discussion. All those in favor of closing nominations for moderator signify by saying aye. And I'll wait for the okay. Great. Nominations are closed, and that pause is because we do have online participants, so we have to just pause a little bit to get their votes as well on their pop-up. So do we have any nominate? Lisa Mazzella has been the one. Thank you very much, Lisa, for being willing to put your name forth. All those who approve Lisa Mazzella as a moderator signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, and we'll give the online a sec. Great. Lisa, you are the moderator. Thank you very much for being willing to serve again. The floor is yours.
Going over the ground rules. All town residents wishing to speak shall raise their hand to be recognized or raise your hand online. I will call speakers one at a time to the microphone. Before you comment, please state your name and address. Comments must be on topic, addressed solely to the question on the agenda. Individuals may have a second opportunity to speak only after everyone wishing to speak once has been recognized. And each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes and cannot yield their time to another. Before calling upon residents to speak, I'll ask Mike Ergo, First Selectman, to present. On questions of protocol, voters may ask respectfully, point of order on procedure. Voter eligibility is summarized as follows. All registered voters of North Stonington and all persons owning at least $1,000 of taxable property on the last grand list are eligible to vote on the budget, section 7-6. Any person not legally qualified who fraudulently votes in any town meeting or votes more than once shall be fined not less than $300 or more than $500 and shall be imprisoned not less than 1 year or more than 2 years and shall be disenfranchised. Voting by assuming the name of another shall be guilty of a Class D felony, section 9-360. Following discussion, I'll call to move the question, each question. Following discussion on each question, I'll move each question to a vote. We'll vote by paper ballot tonight. And for those online, you will receive a pop-up poll on each question. Hearing no objections, these are the rules of the town meeting. And I will now ask the town clerk to read the call.
Warning is hereby given to the electors and those entitled to vote at town meetings of the town of North Stonington that a special town meeting shall be held at the following location on the date and time indicated for the purposes of transacting the business set forth below. Location, North Stonington Education Center Media Center, 298 Norwich Westerly Road, and via Zoom. Zoom link given in the call. Webinar ID 817-0216-5317. Date October 5th, 2021. Time 7 p.m. For the purpose of verifying registered voters, those wishing to attend the meeting online and vote online will need to pre-register through the link provided by 12 p.m. on October 5th. In-person attendance will be available following COVID-19 guidelines. Question number 1, shall the town approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $60,325 for financial software as recommended by the Board of Finance?
Would we read all questions? Just the one? All right, then I will turn it over to Mike to present.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. And I'll recognize my board, Bob Carlson, Nita Kincaid, selectmen up here with me as well. I didn't do that at the opening of the meeting. Quickly, this question number 1 for this appropriation for financial software in the amount of $60,325 may sound like a familiar question, because we did bring this question up in the prior to the budget process in April of this year. The need hasn't gone away. And when we brought it up in April, we recognized that we were in the midst of the budget. We had brought it forward for a variety of reasons at that time to see if it was something we would be able to get approved and then implement as we move forward in the fiscal year that we're in. It did not pass at that time. However, as I said, the need hasn't gone away. And through the budget process, the boards actually removed OpenGov, which is the transparency software that we have been currently using. So that is not in the budget for this fiscal year. So this software will help to fill that need as well. But it's also really, it's an accounting software. And for the nuts and bolts of it, I've invited Nick Haas, who is from Infinite Visions, which is the company that we are talking about purchasing the software from, which is what we're going to talk about for the approval tonight. So Nick has a few minutes. He's been kind enough to join us. I will turn it over to Nick for a very short presentation for everyone's perusing.
Thank you, Mike. Could I have controls to be able to present? See a share. Oh, wait, share screen. Here we go.
You should be all set.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
With Infinite Visions? Okay.
Sure. Yep.
Well, thank you. And thank you for everyone's time. As Mike had said, I'm a software consultant. I'm a senior account executive here with Tyler Technologies. I've been working with the public sector for roughly 23 years, dedicated to software to enable school districts, towns, municipalities, and cities to do more using and leveraging technology. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit about what we can do for the town. We currently work with your school district, and we've been able to tackle some of the ins and outs of their offices as well, and really streamline some of their processes. I'm not going to read obviously all of these words on the screen, but basically what we're looking to do is to just dive a little deeper than just what accounting software can do. We want to look at how do we break down some of the silos. So if you're keeping multiple spreadsheets for something, can we get it so that we can enter it once and then all that information can be shared? And we can do that through all of your departments, not only payroll, HR, purchasing, how you run your fixed assets, but this is really going to connect the town with the school in terms of the reporting. And it's going to be able to offer you the opportunity to have some role-based dashboards and some reporting that you don't currently have, so that transparency can be there like you want and like you expect. When we talk about, and I'm just going to go through a couple of things here, and then we can open it up. I'm going to conclude what I had prepared for you. When we talk about financial management, we talk about the finance side of the house. We really talk about these areas that you see down below here: general ledger, budgeting, how you do your purchasing and payables, how you share information and convey information to your vendors. We do have something today called e-procurement, which allows you to buy directly from websites, and it produces a requisition rate from the shopping cart. Fixed assets, accounts receivable, and then how you do your projects and grants. When we look at human capital, we kind of look at these areas down here. You'll see in the human resources side and then the payroll and benefits administration side. We do all of these areas. It's not something you expect to do overnight, but we've been doing this thousands of times with many communities. So we really welcome the town of North Stonington to go through this process with us. I do want to mention that we did study this over the past year and a half or two, with Mike, and talked a little bit about what we could do for you specifically, the areas that we can increase your efficiency. Basically getting departments to participate more and have more access to information so they don't have to find reports or go dig for things. They'll be right there in real time. They'll be able to look up their balances. They'll be able to do anything. It's also going to be web based, so you can get to the software really from anywhere. We're going to reduce a lot of your paper. We do have a content management solution that is embedded in the software. This will give you a lot of efficiencies in terms of cutting back on the paper that you have to print and share. Consistent reporting between the school and the town today. I know that's a broken kind of area a little bit. We can streamline that, and we can kind of not only integrate that reporting, but also be able to share the information through a GL transfer or through an import so that your records actually can be shared. We do have some towns and schools that produce a single financial statement. That is possible. We're able to basically simplify how you budget, how you develop your budget. We're going to be able to capture your step and grades, so you'll be able to see funded, filled positions, funded vacant positions, and unfunded positions that you propose into your budget. And then as you adopt the new budgets, you'll be able to have those now funded but vacant, so you can hire for those positions. Position inventory will save a lot for the town in terms of time that you have to manage salary increases and things of that like. How we automate your purchasing process is a particular area we were looking at with your town, and then embracing the employee information portal so all employees of the town can have access to this information and participate. You're in really good company. We've been very successful in Connecticut throughout many years. We've had state reporting for over 30 years in Connecticut. These are just some of the boards of education we work with, regional school districts that we work with, and other towns like yourselves that have joined Infinite Visions. This isn't all of our clients in Connecticut, but this was just some that I kind of put together for you. You may see some people that you may know down the road from you that we work with. Our implementation is very intentional. How we're going to get you from start to finish in this project is obviously probably a concern. I wanted to explain this a little bit to you about how we initiate and we plan. We go through these stages, and as we're in these stages, we're in constant communication with you, how we're doing on the project. Are we ahead? Are we behind? Are we right on track in the project? We want to plan this out. Before we touch anything, we want to assess and define responsibilities and roles on behalf of Tyler and on behalf of the town. We'll build and validate the information that you have today and convert it over. We'll clean up that information. We'll make any necessary changes to your account structures, and we'll basically start to build those reports that you expect to see. From there, we're basically doing a final testing of the data we've brought over. Everything is kind of up and start to be built, and then we begin the training program with you. Ultimately, that's going to lead to a production cutover, and then you'll be able to access the help desk. Up until then, you've got a project manager and you've got assigned team members to get you where you need to be. One thing that people really enjoy and they'll say that's very strong about Tyler Technologies is how we transition our clients over to support. We actually do an intentional post-go live. We discuss with you any issues that we discovered during our project. Anything, we want to make sure everything is wrapped up nicely and that it's being used exactly as you had expected and as we had expected. And then we're going to establish a relationship with your support folks at Tyler. So you'll actually get to know who they are. We introduce them to you. You have multiple layers. So you're not left with someone who's not going to know, what to do when they call support. You've got multiple channels of support that I'm going to explain in just a moment. But ultimately, what we're doing is we provide a real true understanding of the best ways you can access the support, and the ways you're going to get the answers as quickly and as full as you want them. Our support options, span quite a bit. Not only do we have phone and email support, we've got an online client portal. It does have live chat. So we've got multiple ways. We've also got a community page, so all of the Infinite Visions clients can talk. There's a knowledge base out there with videos and information at your fingertips. That's 24/7, 365. So we're able to support you. And traditionally too, we still have the phone and email support, and we usually get a response to somebody within 15 minutes. Our support highlights are really that you're never going to have a number of help desk requests that you can do with Tyler, where it's unlimited. We give you unlimited access to all the documentation with Infinite Visions that you're going to need. We also put it into the software too as well. So anytime you're on a screen, you're able to instantly get the help that you need, go right to that page. And we're on top of the annual state legislative changes. So we have people who are support folks at Tyler whose sole job is to make sure that we're in compliance with any type of legislative changes in Connecticut, any reports that are now a mandatory report, and we build those into our software. Not only do we provide all those different channels of support, but we've also got a state and regional user group that meets twice a year in Connecticut. So you'd be plugged into a group of your peers, providing support on the product. And we also send development folks to those meetings from time to time to get a gauge of what people would like to see, for new advances in the software. So we're always paying attention to you and what your needs are, and we're changing as your needs change in the market. From community all the way to our annual user conference, you are covered. We also have a university training program too as well to offer you, where if you have any turnover or you just need some reinforced training, you can get onto Tyler University. You can take a course in any particular area of the software. Just to give you just a couple of screenshots, I didn't want to go crazy, but I did want to just mention to you, this is an example of what a dashboard would look like for maybe a department head. This can be smaller or have more information. It just all depends on the user's privileges and rights. But what you're able to do is basically get into, see the headlights of all things at once. So if you have 3 requisition approvals, I can get right there to them. We build these things called smart cards, which allow the software to kind of detail your work for you. It's a kind of a headlines. We've got charts and graphs throughout the software. So we show you how you can actually use the information in it to build your own. So these reports can be shared in real time right on the web. We are going to scrub and look at your account structure, but you're able to filter reports anytime, anywhere, using a general ledger report writer that actually will go right down to the individual segments in your account structure. So the result is, what you're able to see is your expenditures in a real-time value. You're able to see not only what the budget is, what you've spent year to date, what's encumbered, what the balances are, but you'll start to see even pre-encumbrances. That is the work in process that's out there. Usually those are all those paper requests. We're going to capture them electronically. You're going to be able to see those, and you'll be able to make decisions on those in real time, saving you a lot of time and headache. When you do get into the detail of our software, you can see, for instance, if I've got a budget in this line and I've spent, this just says $591.94. Here is exactly what that's made up of. You're going to get down to that transaction level. You're going to see everything in real time for every budget line and expenditure. We do have shopping, like I had mentioned, turning it into a request right from the vendor's website. So if you're filling up shopping carts, you can proceed right to a checkout, and you'll be able to get that right into a requisition. When you do filter them, there's multiple ways to filter that. So if you're holding some requests that are out there, but you need to filter by any particular value or range, or you're able to get that detail right on your desktop. Again, these are just a couple of screens. With Tyler Content Manager, you'll have all aspects of documentation. So if you want to search on any keyword, let's take, for instance, you searched Dell, anyone with the name Dell, any vendor with Dell, any documents that have contain the names, it actually goes into the OCR level. Anything that contains the word Dell is going to pop up. You'll see all those things, and you can pick from those on what document you're looking for. I had mentioned earlier that we're going to tie your positions directly over to your budget. That's going to save you an amazing amount of time come budget season, but all of those positions will be there. You'll see what the FTEs are. And these are tied to your schedules too as well. So how you have your salary schedules set up, this will automate. So if I want to look at next year's, I can see what those increases with just a click instead of having to go into Excel or somewhere to figure all that out. It's right there in the software, real time. And we keep track of them down to the FTE level, just as some examples of those. So I do want to leave you with, just hopefully I've piqued your interest in some of those screens. I've shared some of the areas we're going to hit. I'm sure going through a project with us, we're going to find areas that maybe the town didn't discover, we didn't discover, but the whole idea is to help you really improve. I love this quote by John Wooden. If we improve a little bit each day and we look at each individual's roles and responsibilities, we're able to do big things because we're just going to break off piece by piece.
Nick, thanks so much.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. It's a good amount of info. I know Mr. Nero and possibly Deb Martin are on the call in the interest of brevity, but certainly Mr. Nero being the superintendent and who's using this software. I know you wanted to make some comments. Peter, go ahead.
So we had to switch and find a new software vendor because we lost Phoenix. We were losing Phoenix. So actually I've been working with Nick probably going back over 2 years ago. So the whole Learn Consortium went out. There were many districts. They flushed this out and vetted it out between all the different vendors, and just about everybody went with Infinite Vision. So we've been very pleased. We went live last year and we went through the training. Deb and Suzanne and Robbie went through the training during COVID. It was through Zoom. We're perfectly happy and content. I will say this. This is so important for the town to do. This is my third time talking about this. And the reason why I'm saying is the transparency that you're going to have in terms of being able to be right, to look into what's going on our end too, is going to be, as Nick talked about, the transparency. In the same token, I know our auditor would never be able to promote a product, but she said the last time we had an in-person audit going back a couple of years ago, she was thrilled to hear that we purchased this product, and she said it would be a good idea for town to do it. You're pretty over $20 million operation between the town and the school district, and you're using QuickBooks, and this would be a real big step into the future. Again, third time I'm talking about this, and I hope that the town will approve this. By the way, quite a bargain, to be honest with you. You're on our coattails of signing on 2 years ago. So you're getting it, I think it's $65,000 or something like that. It'd be well worth it for the town to do that. I don't know if Deb wants to say anything.
Peter, you covered it all, actually, and we have been very fortunate since we went on to Infinite Visions. I agree, Nick, the support team is very responsive and get back to you, as soon as they can. And you too have transitioned to add a number of support staff because of all the vendors that have transitioned over. So we have been very pleased.
I'm very glad to hear that, Deb. Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, presenters, and Lisa will take it from here for questions. Thank you.
Okay, now that we've heard the presentation, I'll ask for a motion to approve the question for discussion to follow. Dan Spring makes a motion. Is there a second? Bill Ricker seconds. All in favor? Oh. Mhm. Okay. So we'll open it up for questions. Is there anyone online with their hand up? Not yet? Okay. Bill Ricker, you're recognized.
Is this on or does it need to be turned on? Okay. Not being a financial wizard, I understood perhaps half of the presentation, but we're at a unique position the beginning of October in that we're going to be having a change of administration in a month. What I would like to know is, in the study that the Board of Selectmen have had on this, are all three members of the current board supportive of this initiative?
It passed unanimously through our board.
We also have two members who are running for treasurer present, and we have two other members who are running for the Board of Selectmen. I would like to hear of the support or the wisdom that those folks might bring to this discussion. Is that possible?
Yes, they'd like to come up for a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Anyone like to comment? Mustafa?
Hi, everyone. Oops.
Oh.
So
Please state your address for the record.
on 92 Main Street, North Stonington. Name is Mustafa Ratib. I'm the actual treasurer as of now. And I've been supporter of Infinite Version. I did a lot of research back then when I was on the Board of Finance, calling different states like Maine, different towns here like Stonington and other towns. And I think this is the right way to go because, you know, we have QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a small business software. It's not 20 million or $30 million budget software. And I think that Infinite Version will take care of a lot of things that, you know, we are suffering from. And we will have, and I always wanted school and the town to be in the same page, to have the same software. And thank God, finally, we have it here. And I think something that everybody should support and will help us in the long run. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Connie Barrardi?
Connie Barrardi, 71 Pine Woods Road. My question is, in the presentation, you spoke about schedules. Will the people that don't work directly in the office, the main office, will they have access to put their schedules in for accurate, I guess you would say, payroll per week?
So we would determine that would be a setup process.
Is it?
So
Okay.
yeah, so we have the ability to set things up a number of different ways. But certainly we're going to have a lot more functionality with this software than we do now.
Right.
A lot more. I mean, QuickBooks doesn't do any of those things. This has HR functionality. We don't currently have something for that right now. And I'll just mention the other thing is the cost of this per year is about 5 times less than what we're paying for OpenGov. And it doesn't do all the same things OpenGov does. It actually does a lot more. It's accounting software. OpenGov is not accounting software. So.
Yeah, and I've worked in accounting and, you know, my experience there was really great because you would have, as they said, in the minute, for the minute, proper P&L reports, chart of accounts where you can see what you're ordering, what your expenses are, comparison. So I'm quite in favor.
Thank you. Dan Spring?
Dan Spring, 231 Wyosop here in North Stonington and Chair of the Board of Finance. I'm strongly in support of this software. As you may well know, I've been involved with the Board of Finance since 2010. So a long tenure. I've seen all the ups and downs of our accountability from year to year. I think that we strongly have the responsibility to the residents of the town, the taxpayers of the town, to be efficient in our accounting of our fiscal duties. And this is something that this software can help. More importantly, the largest part of our budget is now being is utilizing this software, and we're trying to kind of make a match as information is conveyed from Board of Ed to general government. By having everyone using the same software, it just makes sense that we're all on the same system, and it's been made very clear and very transparent. So I strongly support the purchase of the software. And again, as Nick had mentioned, and I think Mike as well, because of our initial investment with the Board of Ed, we're getting the piece for the general government at a great discount and a wonderful savings for the town, and with savings that will just continue year after year after year. QuickBooks, as Mustafa had said, treasurer of the town, is right for the small entity. You know, we are growing, and as we improve our roads, as we improve our buildings, as we improve our systems, software is a part of all of that. So strongly support the purchase. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone online?
Tula Balistrossi, you're recognized. Tula Balistrossi, you're recognized if you can unmute.
We can't hear you, Tula.
Jennifer Dayton, you're recognized if you can unmute.
Okay.
Hi, thanks so much. Jennifer Dayton, 201 Ruderman Road, North Stonington. I am in full support of the financial software as I was earlier in the spring. It makes absolute sense for everyone to be on the same system with the same information, so no errors are made. I have been a member of a Board of Education. I understand it from that perspective. We have financial savings and we have more efficiency by transitioning over. So count me in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Has Tula come on?
Tula, you're recognized if you can unmute, if you can hear us. Got nothing.
Okay. Anyone from the floor? Sean Murphy?
Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood Drive. I just wanted to comment that I think instituting this new software will be a great benefit for North Stonington. You've probably heard me at other meetings. I'm not in favor necessarily of how we are considering this outside of the budget process, but here we are. So I won't dwell on that. But what I would like to say is that
Pardon me, Sean, can you speak up a little bit or move your
yes.
microphone? Thank you.
I have a lot of experience instituting new financial software packages, whether it be STARS FL in the Navy, PeopleSoft and Banner at Connecticut College, and using QuickBooks here for the town while I served on the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. What I do know from that experience is that setting up and switching to a new program should not be a rushed ordeal. And it should be an effort that involves our treasurer, should involve our Board of Finance and the selectmen into coming to an agreement on a new chart of accounts. We shouldn't just rush over and use the same chart of accounts. If we create the new chart of accounts correctly, we will be able to obtain more information from it. We've had a lot of complaints from Board of Finance members in the last couple budget cycles about not getting the information that they need, not being available in the from the town hall. And I had this when I served as well, that the software wasn't set up to give us those answers. But I would hope that we wait and institute this with our new Board of Selectmen and our new Board of Finance and treasurer, whoever is serving at that point as treasurer. But I don't think we should rush it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Online?
Tula Balistrossi, you're recognized if you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Tula Balistrossi, 26 Cedar Drive. I had Zoom privacy issues. So I've been a bookkeeper for over the last 20 years. I'm very proficient in QuickBooks. I have clients nationwide. We've converted systems over. We've run multiple platforms, and going with this software just makes sense. It will streamline the process. And having been in the position of having to transition platforms and trying to run a more efficient accounting system, this is a no-brainer. We're going to be more efficient and save time and money in the long run. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Porter, you're recognized.
Hi, good evening. Nicole Porter, 44 Pinecrest Road. I am currently Secretary of Economic Development Commission, but a community member that is running for Board of Selectmen. Very encouraged tonight by the positive comments and the support in favor of this. My day job, I manage 5 different departments across Hartford Healthcare. We don't use this particular software, but we use something very, very similar. And to be able to sit down at my desk and manage budgets over 2 different campuses, incorporating human resources, finances, e-procurement. I agree with Tula. It's just a no-brainer. So really, really happy to hear the support tonight in the room and online. Thank you.
Thank you. Brett Mastroni.
Hi, Brett Mastriani, 162 Button Road. I am in support of approving this tonight. Hearing it prior as well as now, I think it's something that we do need to move forward with. I'm not a big fan of the process of it outside the budget process when we discussed it and took it out. I think the residents should know what's coming in their future taxes out of that revenue that we do pay in, because I know we do have some other expenditures coming in the next few months. So it would have been nice to see it all at once, the other expenditures with this, but I think it's important to be on the same page as the Board of Ed. I wish we could turn back time and do it a few years ago when they did it, because as we see on the Board of Finance, it is hard to sometimes deep dive into those details on OpenGov that we look for those answers. And from this presentation, it looks like the software will allow us to do that and all be on the same page, as well as the Board of Ed, and help that budget process go smoother when it's time to pass the budget for the town. That way things look the same, documents look the same. I think it's beneficial for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, Gary Anino, 91 Main Street. Just a couple, first of all, I support it, but a couple foundational questions. Is this the implementation and purchase or just the implementation of the software? Are we picking up licenses and piggybacking on the boards?
This is the implementation and it is the purchase for the first year. And we actually made out a lot better that we waited cost wise. The Board of Ed kind of bore the brunt of the cost because we didn't do it right away. So yeah, this is most of the cost associated with this is the cost of training us up on it.
Yeah, so I mean, can't we just pick up additional licenses on the Board of Ed's?
That's what
program?
we're doing. That's why it's so affordable.
So it's an implementation cost. It's not a purchase. So we own the software already.
Yes, we own the software already. Sorry if I was misunderstanding your question.
And the other one is, what are the year over year costs? You know, how, and maybe it's the gentleman on the screen. How often does it upgrade? What are the costs associated with the upgrade?
Yeah,
What
so
are we
it's,
stepping into?
we have those numbers. It's $1,505 a year to the town. Now the Board of Ed has a higher cost, but
But periodically, and been through this a few times, they tell you you have to upgrade because they're going to a new version.
No,
What's the
that's-
cycle on that?
we
What's the
don't-
frequency?
we don't have to do that with this type of software, Nick. Correct? Yeah. With
Yeah, no, that-
like thank you. With QuickBooks, that's something we actually do have to deal with, but with this software, it's actually included. I remember that in the prior presentation. So.
You agree, Nick?
Yeah, we have something evergreen, and it's a clause in our agreements where we give, it's software for life. So any advancements that come up, you get those automatically as a result of your maintenance. So you're covered.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments or discussion? Joe Gross, you're recognized.
Joe Gross, Hickory Lane. I guess we've heard from all the experts, politicians. Now you're going to hear from the layman, the ones who pay for all this stuff. Talking at budget time with the responsible people in the town government, we go through a whole process of understanding what we got. Talking with the education, with the superintendent and Deb, I now know how they can answer my questions all the time. So it's a good process. I'm just surprised we don't have anything. If we don't have a system, you better put in a purchase order for some ink wells and some feathered pens, because that's about where the hell we're at in the 18th century. You got to get into the 21st. And looking around in what we got, you're talking 28 people approximately out of the total population of 5,000. So this is it. This is the fist, the numerous that run the town. And I think we should support it. It should have been processed when it first came out. And we brought it to the people and everybody. We're a little slow in town, I understand that, but we're going to support it. And I believe the majority of the laymen like myself will support the cost of it.
Thank you. How's online? Any other comments from the floor? Discussion? I would ask for a motion to move this question to a vote. Who moved? I'm sorry. Dan Spring first. Brett Mastrioni second. All in favor of voting? Oppose? Oh, excuse me. I'll wait for online. We don't. Okay. So while we're counting the ballots, I'll ask the town clerk if you could read the second question.
Question 2, shall the town approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $48,881 for use of reimbursable state LoSiP grant funds for road work as recommended by the Board of Finance?
Everyone's voted online? This is included. Okay. All right, on question number 1, we have, out of 24 votes, we have 22 yes and 2 no. So the question passes.
Thank you, Nick, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks.
We'll be in touch.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Peter.
Should we read the second question again? No, we're good? Okay. All right, then I'll ask Mike to present.
Actually, in this case, I'm going to ask Christine to come up and just give a brief overview.
So the reason that we're having the discussion of this question, last year, the timing of our road projects, everything was correlated together because we had gotten some state funding for steep road work. And the roads that we had planned to do last year as part of our LoSiP state grant are roads that intersect with those roads. So we needed to do all the road work at the same time to save in the overall costs and also how we were going to inconvenience the townspeople. So because the approval from the state to use the steep funds came after the end of the fiscal year, we did not use the budgeted money last year. The way that the LoSiP grant funds work is we are able to use them in a different year. They are not use it or lose it in that particular fiscal year. So we have to get the approval from the townspeople to use those funds. As soon as we expend them, then we'll be reimbursed by the state. So this is 100% reimbursable. Use it and then get the money back from the state. So the amount that we have in our LoSiP bank with the state is $48,881 for funds that were not used last year.
Thank you, Christine. Lisa?
Okay, could I have a motion to approve question number 2, followed by discussion? Joe Gross. Second. Dan Spring. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, it's open for discussion. Any comments online? From the floor? Sean Murphy, you're recognized.
Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood. I'm looking at this 5-year plan, 2021 to 2022 estimate. So at the beginning of this fiscal year, this document says that you have a balance with the state of 16,143, but yet you gave us a different figure. Could you?
Christine, would you like to address that?
So in preparation for using last year's funds, we submitted the project for $33,498 to do Forest and Cedar Crest drives, which was approved in the last 5-year LoSiP plan because it was part of the plan for last year. So with the state in the official bank, we have $16,143. We have not expended the $33,498, but we have to get state approval prior to moving forward on a project. So when you add those two figures together, it is the $48,881.
not sure whether I follow that, but if we only have a LoSiP, well, I see LoSiP balance 64 and we want to spend 83, why then are we asking for 48,000?
We are asking for the amount that we were given by the state in the allocation for last fiscal year. That is what we are eligible for to get reimbursement on. The project may go over and then we would use a different line item. The guidance that I was given for the report that's for question 3 has to do with how much total projects are, and we would submit to the state what we are eligible for reimbursement on.
So this will be coming out of the general fund at this time.
It is a
This-
spend it and reimburse it from the state. So we have to spend the money and then we'll be reimbursed by the state. When we spend last year's money and this year's money, we will be reimbursed both in this fiscal year. So it would be an excess to revenue for us in the general fund. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the floor? Online? All right, I'll ask for a motion to move the question to a vote. Bill Ricker made the motion and Dan Spring seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we'll move to vote. Christine, does the question need to be read again for those online voting? No, okay. All right. All right, in regards to question 2, out of 24 votes, 23 were yes and 1 no. The question passes. Ask the town clerk to read the third question, please.
Question 3, shall the town approve the amended 5-year local capital improvement plan as presented for fiscal years 2022 through 2026?
First Selectman Ergo has a presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. This should look familiar to those who attend town meetings annually. We every year have to approve this 5-year plan so we can expend money from the state and receive it in reimbursement. We put this together thoughtfully, looking at all the different things that need to be done, in town. This is not every project that we're going to do in town. This is just taking into consideration what we're going to use those LoCIP funds for. If there's any specific questions, we can answer them, and Highway Foreman Don Hill is in attendance as well if I need to ask him anything. But that's really what it is, and we do this every single year, so we're happy to address anything.
Thank you, Mike. I'll ask for a motion to approve question 3 with discussion to follow. Brett Mastrioni, Dan Spring. Online comments? No comments. I'm sorry. All in favor of? No, I think I need to, all in favor of opening it up for discussion. Say aye, please. Okay, opposed. All right. Now comments. Brett Mastrioni.
Brett Mastriani, 162 Button Road. Well, I'm in favor of this. I just was hoping Donnie can maybe comment on this process, especially since most of them are resurfacing, just so the public and everybody else can make sure it doesn't happen what happened in Kingswood in the chip sealing, and how this is different, so we don't get in the same predicament. Thank you.
You can come up to the microphone. That one's fine.
So how this is determined is by looking at the roadway surfaces. I have a list of when certain roads were chip sealed, how many years ago, and then looking at the road for cracks, potholes, how many times we have to go out and do maintenance on them, determines where they go on the list for resurfacing. And then we do I say country roads, the roads that aren't in a development are chip sealed. But if it's to the point where chip sealing is just going to be a Band-Aid, then we're going to mill it and repave it. And that gives us anywhere between 8 to 10 to 15 years for a road. A lot of reasons why roads fail is the surface under the material underneath it, how long the weather's been beating it up, the sun, the rain, whatever. And then the oils get washed out of it, and then they start to fail. Once those oils are completely gone, regardless of what I try to do to chip seal it, those cracks are coming back. And you've probably seen that in some of the roads that have been chip sealed around town over the years, that the oils are gone and they need to be milled and repaved. That's how that list is determined what we're going to do with it. Answer your question? On the roads that the oils have completely failed on and chip sealing is not going to work on, then yes, that's what I would like to do is to mill those roads down, get 3 inches of new material on top of it with the oils in it that'll hold up for 8 to 10, 15 years. And we won't have to go back and chip seal. It's more expensive, but down the road, in the long run, you're not going back every 5 years and chip sealing these roads again. That's your question?
Okay. Thank you. Online, there's a question.
Brian Rathbun, you are recognized if you can unmute.
Yeah, hi. I was just looking at and the town road line striping is 15,000. Is that something that's done every 2 years, Donnie? That's what it looks like here. So I didn't know if they had done that this year? Because I don't see the 15,000
Yes, Brian,
on this one.
yeah, I try to do that every 2 years. Because the material that they're using is a water-based material and it wears off a little faster. Actually, this next time around, I'm gonna look at, maybe going with the same type of striping they use on the DOT stuff. So it might change and last a little bit longer.
So should we have it on that 15,000 on the 21-22 or no? Or have you done that already?
Brian, this is just one of several accounts that we use for road work. So if the LoSiP funds in the 22 year we're going to use for Rhonda Lane, that doesn't mean we won't do other projects. That just means that's what these funds are being used for.
Does that answer your question, Brian?
Yeah, kind of. I just wondered why we didn't have, if it's every 2 years, why there wasn't 15,000 also under the 2021-22. I mean, would that give us more money?
It's just not in the LoSiP. It's not on this LoSiP plan.
They only give us a certain amount of money. It's not based on how much we ask for. They just tell us how much we get.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Okay. Joe, did you have a comment? No? Any other comments? Online? Hearing no other comments, I would ask for a motion to move this question number 3 to a vote. Joe Gross. Seconded by Connie Barrardi. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Nope. We'll vote. Ask the town clerk to go ahead and read the final question.
Question 4. Shall the town approve the Town of North Stonington Code of Ethics ordinance to establish suitable ethical standards for all such officials, officers, and employees by prohibiting acts related to financial gain or financial interests that are not in the best interests of the town, and for the town clerk to be allowed to publish an abbreviated version of the legal ad regarding the notice of passage of the ordinance?
I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the question for discussion to follow. Joe Gross. Second. Bill Ricker. Any discussion from the floor? Sean? Sorry.
Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood. Is there a reason that we're just now
Excuse me,
seeing?
Sean, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I did not ask the first selectman to present. He had some words to say before we began discussion. I apologize.
No problem. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Sean. Just a quick few comments. this, first of all, this code of ethics, the town had a code of ethics but it was like a one-page, not very robust code. And what we had discussed over the last year or so was trying to put something a little bit more, with a little more teeth together to make sure that it's really clear the ethical standards that we want staff, town officials, really anybody that's involved with the town to kind of live by. So with taking the lead on this was Selectman Carlson and Christine. We put it together. We talked in Board of Selectmen meetings, went through this, and then we did work with the town labor attorney to make sure that what we've put together is legal and appropriate for the town. This was advised to us that this should go to town meeting for approval. And so that is why this is before you today. I'm not going to read through the code. You all have a copy of it. If you have specific questions, we'll do our best to answer them on this code. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, now we'll be opening it up for discussion. Sean Murphy.
23 Kingswood Drive. Is there a reason that we're just now received this tonight versus any advance at any time prior to this? This is an ordinance that we're approving tonight that's quite lengthy, and we're being asked to approve something only just now seeing it without any review.
It was posted online and in the paper as.
Yeah, the packet's been available since Thursday. We had copies available in both town halls. The legal ad did say that the materials would be on the website, and they were, along with the call for the meeting.
Not on Friday.
Everything was posted on Thursday.
Yeah, it was.
All right. This affects all boards and commission members, yet through the process, no boards and commission members other than the Board of Selectmen were allowed to review this or comment on it, which it is quite, I think, a little disrespectful to all of our volunteers that serve on the boards and commissions. But the question is a little deceiving because it makes no mention in the question of this ordinance creating a ethics commission. What you're going to have with an ethics commission is political members appointed to the commission that are going to rule on complaints. So next year, should we have two individuals that appoint me to serve on this commission, I may very well be the one that acts on the complaint. I think this is just doomed to be a political nightmare. It's going to be, the bias of the commission is going to be based on the majority party in the Board of Selectmen. And I think we should have a clear ethics policy, but not have yet another commission here in town. We already have too many committees and commissions. Thank you.
Chris, Bob, you want to comment on, I know you were, these were questions that we certainly had concerns about. Go ahead.
So I was asked to work on this months ago. We were asked on numerous occasions why we didn't have a more complete code of ethics. So what I did was I looked at neighboring towns, specifically Voluntown, Preston, Griswold, Old Lyme, and Stonington. All 5 of those towns had a somewhat complete code of ethics, and they were all pretty close to being the same. So rather than just plagiarize one, I went through all 5, took out the best parts, and came up with the code of ethics. One thing I noticed that all the towns that had these code of ethics also had commissions. They weren't all done the same way. Some had 8 members, some had 5, some had 3. One thing that they did have in common was they were a minority. They were the parties was a minority representation on the commission. Also, that no one that was seated on a board or a committee could be on the commission. And all of them had a place to send in a complaint for an advisory on it. So what we could do is according to this, we're going to use the town labor attorney so you can get an advisory opinion which says, is there enough teeth in this complaint to go to a commission? If there is, then it will go to the commission. But all 5 towns, and I spoke personally to Preston, Stonington, and Griswold, and all 5 towns say the commission meets once a year. Very rare that they meet more than once, which is a good thing. You don't want them meeting on a regular basis, obviously, but it could happen. They said it could happen more in the first year because people are trying to get used to, what a complaint is and should it be heard. I can't imagine having a code of ethics without having some sort of a board to review. It doesn't have the teeth. I think you need a commission to have the teeth in the code of ethics. It's not something that would be unique to North Stonington because all the surrounding towns have that. And I'm 100% in favor of having a commission appointed with a minority representation. I don't think it'll be political. I think it has to be something that's not connected to the selectmen. I think it's a commission made up of non-seated members of boards and committees. So I think it's just the way we wrote it is fine. I think we need to adopt it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Brett Mastroni, you're recognized.
Brett Mastrani, 162 Button Road. Question for you. I do think a code of ethics is important, but Bob, as you were just responding to that last question, you stated that the labor attorney would be the one that looks at this process ahead of time. Yet in the ethics policy, it keeps referring to the town attorney. And usually when we talk about the town attorney, it's our main town attorney. So is that something that should be clarified in here, or is that you just leaving that broad? But I just noticed that every paragraph talks about the town attorney.
We could make it more specific, but the labor attorney was the one that sat down with myself and Christine and ironed out the kinks in the policy. So I think it should be the labor attorney. However, maybe by keeping it more vague, if the labor attorney wasn't involved, we could go to the town attorney. I think the labor attorney should be the one that reads and comes forth with an advisory opinion.
Joe Gross, you recognized.
Wait a minute, I gotta see if I look pretty on the picture up there. This is not the first time we've had the Board of this Ethics Commission in this town. I'm not up in age yet, but we go back a few years when Nick Mullane was the first selectman. Preston has a complete Board of Ethics. Preston's board came down and met in town. We were gonna put this ethics in the town, but the big question came up, and a lot is like Sean said, we couldn't find enough people not associated with any boards, commissions, or wherever. Just about everybody in town is associated in some type of a board. That is the reason why it didn't go through then. And I think if we do it now, I'm in favor of it, but we're going to have the same problem. You go out and try to find sensible people and reasonable people that are not associated with any board or commission today, you're going to have one hell of a lot. You better start overturning stones and everything, because that's the thing that's going to hurt us. And I hope we succeed in finding them things out. And that comes from a layman who supports all this type of stuff.
Thank you, Joe. Mike, want to respond?
Yeah, Joe, I shared your concern. That was a concern that I had with among some of the other concerns that have been voiced here, and did speak with the attorney about it. And, there are a lot of people in town actually that don't serve on boards and commissions, thousands. So it's just a matter of, putting the ask out there, and there might be people who would be willing to do something like this just because it kind of is outside of, a normal board or commission, and it's not really a heavy lift. They may never really often meet. So I share the concern, but I think if we work on getting the word out, we'll be able to get the board together.
Thank you. Bill Ricker, you recognized.
Bill Ricker, 421A Wyassup Road. These are just questions of clarity. Do I read it correctly that the Board of Ethics relates to financial interests or financial gains only? Just those two issues?
You read that correctly.
Okay. Secondly, are officials defined as volunteers to our boards and commissions? Or are boards or are volunteers not a part of this code of ethics?
So Mike, Bill, it's elected officials and appointed officials. So a volunteer that, like your commission, where they're appointed, they do fall under this.
Okay,
There's a definition on page 3.
thank you. My third question, as a trustee of other boards outside of North Stonington, I have to sign as a trustee every year and submit it back to the chairman of the board that I am not a part of any financial gain or financial interest. So I sign it and return it on a yearly basis. Is that a part of what you're planning to do?
So yes, Bill, if this gets adopted by the town, a copy will go to each person that's serving now as a volunteer or an elected official, as well as every employee in the town will get it. They'll have a period of time, we haven't determined, it could be 2 weeks, where they'll have to sign that they read it, they understand it, and return it to the town clerk's office. There'll be also copies left in the town clerk's office to be picked up and signed by new employees as they come in. We're hoping if this gets adopted, since we're in an election year, that all new people coming into town, as well as those that are already seated, will get this for, say, a 2-week period, read it, understand it, sign it, give it back to the internet saying, I get it, I understand it, and they're on board.
Excellent, good point, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone online?
Yeah, but you're a town employee.
Right. So this is the first I've heard of this. I can tell you from my own experience with unions, we have an arbitration process, we have a grievance process. There is a monetary amount set to how much you can take in gifts from the state. Was that taken into consideration when this was planned as far as the unions?
Christine?
Yep, that's partially why we had the town labor attorney work with us on this. It specifically says in here that we have to work within the binding arbitration that we have with the unions. We are working with the same things that are in the employee handbook, so it all works together for this policy and what we have on the books already.
So the punishment steps would still be the same?
Yes.
Verbal, written, suspension?
Yes.
Correct. Those didn't come out of place?
No.
Now, if they're found guilty on a board, from a board, and that is a written part, and they go and do it again, and then it's the suspension part. Where does the board fall in as far as doing the investigations to prove the fact that this is actually a legitimate complaint, and that then it goes to arbitration? Do the board members also have to testify in front of the arbitration board?
So things are handled a little bit differently for employees than they are for board and committee members, just because we have more power with staff than we do with boards and commissions. You can't remove someone. But if you read through everything, it talks about how we handle it for employees, how we handle it for boards and commission members. The first thing that happens is the advisory opinion from the town labor attorney, so to make sure that it actually has merit to move forward and follows the process.
Okay, thank you. Sean, are you recognized?
Sean Murphy, 23 Kingswood. Question, is there adequate funding and adequate allocation in our current budget to cover the attorney fees for this? Or are we next going to be asked for an additional appropriation, a new line item in the budget to cover attorney fees for this new commission?
So we have reduced attorneys' fees over the years and have worked within the budgets that we have for attorneys' fees. That's one of those items that certainly we don't know if that could happen. I can't really answer that question because we don't know if there will be a need or there won't be a need. So it certainly would be a process if we needed more attorneys' fees, which we haven't since we've been here, that we would go through an appropriations process if it were necessary. I would argue that if there's an ethics violation, it's money well spent to make sure that we take care of that situation.
And the next question was, does the Ethics Commission really have any teeth in solving the issue? Seeing that state law does not allow you to recall an elected official or censure an elected official, is there really any benefit to having a bigger government, a new commission, when in effect they have no authority on elected officials?
I mean, yes, there's absolute benefit to it as far as what teeth there are. If someone is an elected official and they have a legitimate complaint placed against them to the point where it goes to a board of ethics, that is a spotlight on that impropriety. And that needs to happen. We need more transparency when it comes to things that shouldn't be the way that they are if there are problems. So whether or not the elected official, which is the example you gave, can be forced out of office, we may not have power to actually remove somebody. And that can certainly be investigated depending on the circumstances. But when something is put under a spotlight that was improper and that person is in an elected office, they should be scared out of office. They should be removed from office due to the publicity that they get over what they had done. So I think it's a great thing that Bob and Christine worked up along with Nita and myself. And we did have conversations with people at meetings about this. This was on a number of agendas, so it was discussed with the public as well. And I'll just add, in addition to this, we did approve also a code of conduct that is not included in this packet for everyone because it doesn't need to be approved by the town, but was approved by the Board of Selectmen, is certainly on file at the town. And it outlines what we consider to be appropriate behaviors and inappropriate behaviors of both town officials as well as staff. So we've really tried to set the bar, especially in this day and age, and what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, so that there's just no question about it.
Thank you. Brett, you're recognized.
Brett Mastriani, 162 Button Road. Sorry to ask so many questions, but you know I'm a stickler for ordinances and statutes. So I'm reading through section 5, letter A, and it says there shall be an ethics commission consisting of 5 regular members and 3 alternates. The member shall be appointed to investigate specific charge or charges under the ordinance and serve until their investigation is complete and a decision rendered. So I'm confused about if they're serving until the investigation is complete and the decision rendered. And then on C of the same one, it talks about their terms. They don't seem to jive together.
So I think what we tried to do there, Brett, is if there's an ongoing investigation and someone's terms running out while the investigation is going on, they stayed seated till that particular investigation was completed. At that point, then they would resign from the board because their term would be over and we'd appoint a new member to the commission.
Okay. It's confusing as you read it about their terms.
It is, but you can understand where if someone's been working on something for months and now their term's up, wouldn't have to pull them off and have someone else start fresh at that point.
Okay. So then after that initial term of the appointment, then you're staggering the terms?
Right. So I think we had it as when we first appoint the commission, if we have 5 members, I know Preston they're supposed to have 5, but they have 3. If we have 5 members, we would go with 2 with 1 year, 2 with 2 years, and 1 with 3 years. And then that way they're staggered. So we're not losing 5 people every 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Excuse me. There's someone online and then I'll get to you, Joe.
Brian Rathbun, you are recognized if you can unmute.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there's anything, I read through it real quick. I didn't get to study it, but I just didn't know if there was something in here that would, like, if a complaint is put against someone, does that become private? It's not gonna be like, oh, boy, put it out there for the public to see. I wouldn't think. I would think it'd be a private investigation through the committee. And I really don't want to see it become a Coven Avenue to tar and feather somebody, that's all. So I don't know if it will be a private committee that deals with the complaints, or is this gonna be like a publicized complaint type thing?
So is this a public record? Can you answer that, Bob?
So through the first step, going through for the advisory opinion from the attorney, that's all kept private. That's right. That is not, because no decision's been made. When it goes to the commission, again, during the hearing part of the investigation part, that is kept private. Once there's a decision made, it is no longer private.
Okay. Joe Gross, you're recognized.
This ethics commission thing is very, very, very deep. And I think Bob, you've expressed and explained quite a bit to it. I don't want to say we don't recommend it. I think we should recommend it, but somewhere I would like to see the board bring a representative from, say, Preston, or one of the towns that's had these things. And I think they could provide, a lot better answer to the questions that's coming up. I'm listening to a lot of questions, and we're answering it from the point that we're looking at it. But I think if we had a member that has dealt with this over a period of years and had actual cases, you'd get a good response on it.
Thank you, Joe. Any comments online? Any other comments from the floor? Brett?
Sorry, one last question. On page 5, section 5, letter B, it says all members shall be electors of the town. No member shall, 1, hold or campaign for any public office, hold office in any political party, or serve as a member of any other municipal agency, commission, or board. So just for reference, does that mean campaign for themselves, or can they help someone else campaign if they're on this board?
I took it as being campaign for themselves. They're an actual candidate, not helping somebody else campaign.
Because when you say campaign, it could mean campaigning for another.
Running for office.
I think the other thing is that when appointing this commission, if you have somebody who's very vocal about whatever opinion they might have, they would maybe not be the best choice for this commission. This is a commission that should be nonpartisan, unbiased, and probably maybe somebody you've just never heard of in North Stonington. And there's, 4,500 people that we haven't heard of that live here that could be possibly serving. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the floor? Online? All right, with that, I would like to ask for a motion to move the question to vote. Nicole Porter, Joe Gross, seconds. All in favor of moving the question? Yes, the results of the third question is 23 yes and 1 no. So question number 3 passes. Okay, the results of the fourth question. It's 24 out of 24 votes, 18 was yes and 6 was no. So the question passes. Before I make a motion to adjourn, I'd like to thank Bill Ricker for keeping the microphone sanitized all night. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Bill Ricker, Brett seconds. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lisa, for moderating. Thanks, everybody, for coming.